fresh episode of D-Town TV, the free show for DSLR shooters.
Sorry, I was trying.
It's all right. I'm Larry Becker, he's RC, and we got a great show for you today. Coming up, we have a tip from our buddy Rick Salmon, and we're going to start off with a tip from my buddy RC. What have you got for us?
Hey, look, it was one of those things that somebody stopped me when we were working in a shoot in Ybor, and I call it Canon jealousy. What happens is, a lot of the times, you'll see somebody with a Canon, and what they're doing is they're going through pictures here, and they're quickly trying to scan through a whole bunch of stuff. And Canon has a big wheel here at the front, and then you can just go and just run through whatever picture you want to find. And for me, I'm like click, 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 and I'm like, that sucks. So what I did on an Nikon, and it's just a very, very quick tip here. I go to my menus, and then here, there's a section for custom settings. I'll go all the way down to my controls. The two sections that I want to do is I'm going to go to Customize Command Dials. I change my main sub. I turn my main sub to on, and then I turn my menus and playback on. Okay. That's it. So that's it. Custom F8, F controls. So you go to Pencil, Controls, Customize Command Dials, and I turn those two settings on. When you do that, you can use this top one to cycle through pictures, and then you can use the front one to be able to cycle through histogram settings and things like that.
Very cool.
The other thing that I do is I program this center button to go to 100%.
That's a good idea.
That's also something that's in there. So if you go inside of here under your controls, you can assign how you want that center button to work. So you'll go in the center button under playback mode, you click on that, and I have it to zoom. That way, I don't have to sit there and play around with it when I'm shooting something. I'll shoot, I look at it, I just hit the center button, automatically brings me to 100%, automatically lets me see whether or not I have something in focus.
Very nice.
I'm off to the races.
I like it, RC. You know, I normally leave all my cameras on factory settings. Totally kidding. I'm totally kidding.
But I mean, this is something that works. So you can do this D90, D300, D4, D3S, D700.
Yeah.
All of your settings. If you have these two command dials, you can customize how those things behave.
Good tip.
Easy
Thank
enough.
you, kind sir.
In and out. Look at that.
Yeah.
Tiny.
We both have quick tips because we have Rick Salmon.
Incomparable Rick Salmon. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about that in just a bit. Stick around.
Hi, I'm Joel Grimes. I'm a commercial advertising photographer. I've been doing this for over 35 years. I'm here at Kelby Trading to teach you guys how I do my composites. I start in the studio. We take a subject, put her on a white sweep, shoot with my 3-edge gritty little lighting techniques. Then we go in the field, we shoot some HDR backgrounds, and putting it all together in Photoshop and making it one amazing killer image. If you're interested in this kind of compositing, come check out my classes.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You know, this show is possible specifically because of the folks at KelbyTraining.com. We have there some of the best photography and Photoshop training you will see from anybody. RC has classes there, really popular classes, and on all kinds of things.
Did you see that Joel Grimes class that just came through?
Yeah.
I love Joel Grimes. Joel Grimes is phenomenal. I think Joel Grimes, Calvin Hollywood, some great stuff.
Yeah, and you know what's amazing to me is the collection of trainers that we have over at KelbyTraining.com. So absolutely, if you like this show, you're going to love what's available at KelbyTraining.com. You've got to check it out.
You'll probably like that more. You'll probably like that more. But anyway, speaking about something that you're really going to like, take a look at Mr. Rick Salmon.
Hey, Rick Salmon here for D-Town in Dunedin, Florida with a quick tip on composition. Always look up, always look down, and always look back. You know, a lot of people may come to this beautiful shore here and they want to capture the whole thing. It's a nice shot. But if you want a really creative shot, look up, look down, and look back. Looking up here, I see these beautiful palm trees. We have great, great clouds. Now, I think it's going to make a great shot. I'm shooting with my 15mm lens and my Canon 5D Mark II, which is a full-frame image sensor camera. So I'm going to get some distortion with the fisheye lens. But here's another tip, another composition tip. Embrace the distortion. It can look really, really cool. Now, to reduce the contrast range in the scene, I'm hiding the sun behind some of the leaves here. One shot, because I don't want to shoot HDR. That's why I'm hiding the sun there. If I were shooting HDR, I wouldn't have to do that. Pretty good, as Larry David would say. So listen, for more tips on composition, check out my brand new class on Kelby Training, Composition, the Strongest Way of Seeing. I'll see you there, I hope.
the incomparable Rick Salmon. So make sure you stop by his blog, take a look at some of his stuff there. He's a variety of information, right? And you talk about, camera settings and light settings and travel and photography. He does a whole bunch of different things.
We did a thing on this show where I demoed one of his images that was inspired by a painting. It was very, very cool.
Yeah, that's what, you know what? Over the next couple of weeks, I think he's going to actually do something. He's going to talk about this entire Think Like a Painter thing, because I think it's actually very inspiring to kind of step back from all the gears and all the settings and all the things like that and actually talk, about the art of photography. So
Yeah.
stay there. You're gonna dig that. You're totally gonna dig that. But you've got something.
Yeah, in fact, I have a real quick tip, and this actually came up. I was reviewing this camera for the folks at B&H. It's the Sony A77, and it has it's a single lens translucent camera. In other words, it's not a DSLR where the mirror flips up out of the way. And so obviously you have your information showing up on a live view on the back of the camera on the LCD. And then the other option is you can put your eye up to the viewfinder, and people are used to viewfinders. Well, this is an electronic viewfinder. It's not actually an optical viewfinder. And with that in mind, one of the things that I did when I was out shooting around with the camera is I like to have my images set up to review. I have them on my camera. I have my images set after I click a shot. It stays on the screen for 4 or 5 seconds, something like that. And that's what I prefer. Well, I had it set up on this camera, but again, I mentioned this is an electronic viewfinder. It's not an optical viewfinder. So I'm out shooting pictures of birds at a lake, and I clicked off a shot, and the bird then froze because I'm looking through the EVF, and it froze because the image playback was turned on. And the image playback was the same on the LCD as it was through the EVF. So I'm like, I can't see. And then I had to push it halfway down. I just turned that function off. By the way, if you do get a Sony A77, turn that function off. But this came up in a conversation with Brad, and I said, hey, Brad, here's one of the situations I ran into. He goes, you know what? I always have image playback turned off. And I said, why is that? And he said, well, a lot of times if I'm up shooting and I take a shot and then I want to change some settings, I don't want to have to pull my face away from the camera to change the settings. He said, because a lot of times I'll think I'm changing something on a command dial, and really what I'm doing is scrolling through settings on the images on the back, so it's like flipping over to histogram or something like that. And I go, I do that all the time. I just don't even think about it. So I have gotten now, thanks to my buddy Brad, I've gotten into the habit of turning off image review. Anytime you want to see it, you just push a button. There's a button on the back of every single camera out there that'll allow you to replay or review your images. But just by nature having them turned on, that's history for me. So thank you, Mr. Brad, for that cool tip. So that's my tip. Turn off image review.
Let's do this. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we have the website, we have a contest, and more information. Stick around.
Hey everybody, this is Sil Arena, and I am proud to say that I'm a Canonista. If you shoot Canon and you're looking to learn how to use Canon speedlights, I want you to check out my classes on kelbytraining.com. I'll show you what the buttons and dials do. How do you take your speedlight off camera, and why should you? What are modifiers? What modifiers would you use if you were a novice? What do you do with an umbrella aside from protect yourself from the rain? What's ETTL? Why should you shoot in manual? What's a master and what's a slave? How do you get them to talk to each other? What the heck is high-speed sync? A lot of people have said Canon speedlights don't do the job that other speedlights will do. I'm sure after watching my courses, you'll completely disagree.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of D-Town TV. The end of this episode, unfortunately. We had Larry.
Yeah.
We had Rick Salmon. You know what's in common with these two people? Photoshop World. Take a look at this. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to bring my stuff up, and I'm going to go to photoshopworld.com. There's a lot of people coming to this. Washington, D.C., March 24th to the 26th, 2012 at the Walter E. Washington Convention Center. A phenomenal amount of people that are going to be there. It's great. It's the who's
It's
who of
all these
photography.
people we talk about that we love their portfolios, that we love their work, we love learning from them on Kelby Training. And
You're
they're
gonna
all
run
be
into
there
a
in person.
lot of people. You're going to run into a lot of people. There's going to be a lot of training that's happening here. There are people that I'm really excited about. Like, I'm looking through this, and I'm like, Calvin Hollywood is going to be there. Gregory Heisler is going to be there. Jack Davis is going to be there. Douglas Saunders is going to be there, right? So there's all these people that are doing stuff in DC. You have to go. You absolutely have to go. So make sure, if you haven't gone, it's this kind of giant experience. But take a look at it. Go to the website, photoshopworld.com. Now, my website for you to watch is Rob Haggard. He has a website called A Photo Editor.
I've seen this. It's a very cool take on things.
Right. So he was a director of photography for Men's Journal.
Right.
And he created this website called A Photo Editor. And he covers all of these different things. And a lot of the stuff is very, very topical. If you're into photography and you're into news, this is the place for you to come and take a look at all of this stuff. So great comments. We were talking about it on the grid. I was on the grid a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about whether or not you suck as a photographer. Right? And it was a very, very controversial topic, but it was all based on something that a photo editor had linked to, talking about comments on blogs and things like that. So it's a great place for you to go. It's a great resource for you to have if you just kind of want to read news stuff.
Yeah, different take and insights. I really like it.
Yeah. Now, this is another thing that I want you to take a look at. I want you to go to kelbytv.com/DTown TV. That's where you're going to win these prizes. Right? We have a Rogue Gels kit and we have a Rogue 3-in-1 honeycomb grid. But that's how you're going to do it, right? You're going to go to the website, you're going to leave a comment. You have to do it on that website, right? Our producers can only follow one spot. So if you're watching on YouTube or Google Plus or doing anything.
Yeah, a lot of people subscribe to the podcast and don't know where to make the comment, so that's where you go.
Right. I'd be curious. Why don't you do this? Instead of leaving us a comment that says, I love you, or I hate you, or this sucks, in the comments, tell us, where do you watch this from? Do you watch this from Google Plus? Do you watch this from YouTube?
That's a good idea.
Do you watch it on your iTunes?
Right.
Do you download the episode on iTunes? Tell us where you're watching this from. Tell us where we're reaching you from. And if you want to give us a show idea, absolutely. Talk to us about that. This is your show.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what your comment is. We just pick somebody at random from all the comments that are there. So maybe you talk about, I don't know, politics, because we don't get enough of that everywhere else on the planet.
Yeah.
So leave your comment about where you watch the show. That's what you ought
The
to do this
producers
time.
have picked people that said your show sucks.
Yeah,
It's okay.
because
You're allowed to have an opinion.
they agree. We're going to give both of these items to one person because they work together. The gels work with the grid.
Perfect.
Very cool.
Great. All right. Well, I guess that pretty much wraps up another episode of D-Town TV.
RC, thanks. I've learned stuff.
Now, I've learned stuff too. But if you want to learn more stuff, you got to tune in next week. I'll see you later.
See you then, guys. Bye.
Thank you.